The door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through the empty house, leaving Emily staring at the spot where her mother had stood just moments before, her confession of love for another woman hanging in the air like a death sentence. In that instant, the woman who had raised her vanished, not with tears or arguments, but with a cold, silent retreat that severed their bond in ways words never could. Years later, as Emily stood on the brightly lit stage of the community theater in downtown Seattle, exchanging vows with the love of her life in a ceremony that doubled as the climax of their self-written play, she caught a glimpse of a familiar face in the shadows of the audience, her mother, drawn back by fate or guilt, now a reluctant witness to the happiness she had once denied. Emily Thompson had always known her truth, but speaking it aloud felt like unleashing a storm she couldn't control. At 25, fresh out of college with a degree in theater arts, she sat her mother, Margaret, down in their cozy living room in suburban Seattle. The rain pattered against the windows, a typical Pacific Northwest backdrop to what should have been a moment of liberation. "Mom, I'm gay," Emily said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "I've been seeing someone. A woman named Imogen. I love her." Margaret's face drained of color. She was a pillar of the community, a devout Catholic who volunteered at the church and hosted neighborhood book clubs. Her world was built on traditions, on the expectation that Emily would follow the path laid out for her. Marriage to a nice man, kids, a white picket fence. "This isn't you," Margaret whispered, her hands trembling as she clutched her rosary beads. "It's a phase influenced by those liberal friends of yours. You need help." The argument escalated quickly. Emily pleaded for understanding, recounting how she'd hidden her feelings since high school, how Imogen made her feel seen and whole. But Margaret's fear turned to anger. "What will people say? Your father would be ashamed if he were alive." Emily's dad had passed from cancer 5 years earlier, and invoking him felt like a betrayal. Tears streamed down Emily's face as she begged, "Please, Mom, just try to accept me." But Margaret stood, grabbed her coat, and walked out without another word. The next day, Emily found a note. "I need time. Don't contact me." And just like that, her mother was gone, moved to her sister's in Portland, cutting off all ties. The abandonment hit Emily like a freight train. She spiraled into depression, questioning if her love was worth the cost. Imogen, a graphic designer with a fiery spirit and a tattoo of a phoenix on her arm, became her anchor. They'd met at a local LGBTQ+ support group, where Imogen's confidence drew Emily in. "We'll build our own family," Imogen promised, holding her through the nights when doubt crept in. But the wound festered. Emily threw herself into theater, channeling her pain into scripts that explored identity and rejection. Her first play, Broken Bonds, earned local acclaim, but every standing ovation reminded her of the empty seat where her mother should have been. Months turned to years. Emily and Imogen's relationship deepened amid societal whispers. In 2015, when same-sex marriage was legalized nationwide, they celebrated quietly, but the joy was bittersweet without family. Emily's aunts and uncles sided with Margaret, viewing her as the victim of a confused daughter. The isolation fueled Emily's resolve. She volunteered at youth centers, helping teens navigate coming out. Yet, inwardly she battled resentment. Why couldn't her mother choose love over doctrine? The moral quandary gnawed at her. Was she selfish for living authentically? Or was Margaret's rejection the true sin? One evening, as rain lashed the windows of their apartment, Imogen proposed. "Let's make it official," she said, sliding a simple silver ring onto Emily's finger. "But let's do it our way on stage in a play that tells our story." The idea was bold. A semi-autobiographical production where the wedding was the finale, blending fiction with reality. They pitched it to the Seattle Repertory Theater, and it got greenlit. Rehearsals became a catharsis, but doubts lingered. What if she never comes back? Emily confided in Imogen. "Then we move forward without her," Imogen replied, her voice firm yet tender. Little did they know Margaret was watching from afar, her own turmoil brewing. Margaret's life in Portland was a facade of normalcy. She immersed herself in church activities, but the guilt ate at her. Letters from Emily went unanswered, each one a reminder of her failure as a mother. She followed Emily's career through online articles, seeing her daughter's success as a playwright. The pride clashed with her ingrained beliefs. Homosexuality is a sin, her priest counseled, but Margaret's heart rebelled. Dreams haunted her. Emily as a child laughing now replaced by visions of her alone. When she learned of the upcoming play titled Vows Unbroken, via a mutual friend, something snapped. The description: a story of love defying family rejection, culminating in a live wedding. Margaret bought a ticket anonymously, driven by a mix of curiosity and remorse. As the date approached, her internal conflict intensified. Was attending a betrayal of her faith, or a step toward redemption? Back in Seattle, tensions mounted. Emily's best friend Sarah, a straight ally who'd stood by her, noticed the strain. "You're pushing yourself too hard," Sarah said during a rehearsal break. Emily snapped, "I have to prove I'm not broken." The play's script mirrored their lives. The protagonist, Lena, comes out to her mother, who leaves, forcing Lena to forge her path. In the climax, Lena marries her partner on stage, symbolizing triumph over prejudice. But offstage, Emily's anxiety peaked. "What if it's all for nothing?" she whispered to Imogen one night. Imogen pulled her close. "It's for us. That's enough." The night before opening, Emily received an unexpected call from her aunt. "Your mother's been asking about you." Hope flickered, but Emily quashed it. She made her choice. Yet, as she lay awake, the moral dilemma resurfaced. Forgiveness versus self-preservation. The stage was set for confrontation, not just in the play but in reality. Opening night arrived with a buzz that electrified the theater. The house lights dimmed and Emily, as Lena, stepped into the spotlight. Her heart pounded not just from nerves, but from the weight of her own story unfolding before strangers. Imogen, playing her love interest Mia, delivered lines with raw authenticity. "Love isn't a choice, it's who we are." The audience leaned in, captivated by the drama of rejection and resilience. In the third act, as Lena's mother character exited stage left, symbolizing abandonment, Emily felt a pang so real it nearly broke her performance. From row 10, Margaret watched, her face hidden behind oversized glasses. The play hit too close, every line a mirror to her actions. When Lena pleaded, "Don't leave me because of who I love," Margaret's eyes welled up. She gripped the armrest, torn between fleeing and staying. The intermission came as a mercy. In the lobby, she overheard patrons debating. "The mother's wrong, but fear makes people cruel." Stung, Margaret slipped into the bathroom, splashing water on her face. "What have I done?" she murmured. Returning to her seat, she resolved to see it through, perhaps as penance. The second half built to the wedding scene. Emily and Imogen, in flowing white dresses, stood before a makeshift altar. The script blurred with reality. Their vows were genuine. "I promise to stand by you through judgment and joy," Emily said, her voice cracking. Imogen responded, "And I vow to heal the wounds others inflicted." The officiant, a fellow actor ordained for the occasion, pronounced them married. Cheers erupted as they kissed. A chaste, emotional embrace that sealed their union. Confetti rained down, but Emily's eyes scanned the crowd, landing on Margaret. Recognition hit like lightning. Time froze. After the curtain call, chaos ensued backstage. Friends and castmates congratulated the newlyweds. "You did it!" Sarah exclaimed, hugging them. But Emily's mind was elsewhere. "I saw her," she whispered to Imogen. "My mom." Imogen's face hardened. "What do you want to do?" Before Emily could answer, a stagehand approached. "There's a woman asking for you, says she's family." The moment of reckoning had arrived. Emily's pulse raced as she walked to the green room, Imogen by her side. Margaret stood there, looking smaller than Emily remembered. Her hair was grayer, her posture defeated. "Emily," she began, voice trembling. I came to see the play." Emily crossed her arms, a shield against the flood of emotions. "Why now? After 5 years of silence?" Margaret's eyes darted to Imogen. "Congratulations on your marriage." The word hung awkwardly, laced with unspoken judgment. Imogen stepped forward. "Thank you, but Emily doesn't owe you anything." The air thickened with tension. The confrontation unfolded like a scripted scene, but far more painful. Margaret confessed her struggles. The church's teachings clashing with maternal love, the fear of eternal damnation. "I thought if I left, you'd come back to the right path." Emily's anger boiled over. "The right path? You abandoned me when I needed you most. Do you know how that broke me? Tears flowed freely now. Margaret reached out, but Emily recoiled. I was wrong, Margaret admitted. Watching you tonight. You're happy. Strong. I missed so much. But Emily wasn't ready to forgive. Happiness came at a price. Your rejection taught me to rely on myself. Imogen interjected, her tone measured but firm. Mrs. Thompson, love isn't conditional. If you can't accept us fully, then leave again. Margaret nodded, defeated. I want to try. Please. The plea hung in the air. A fragile bridge over the chasm. Emily felt the weight of her choices. Hold on to resentment or risk more hurt. As they parted that night, with Margaret promising to call, Emily wondered if reconciliation was possible, or if some betrayals ran too deep. The following weeks were a whirlwind. News of the onstage wedding went viral locally, sparking debates on social media. Supporters praised the boldness, while critics decried it as pushing an agenda. Emily fielded interviews using the platform to advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. But privately, the encounter with Margaret reopened old wounds. Therapy sessions helped, where Emily unpacked the moral ambiguities. Was her mother's faith an excuse, or a genuine barrier? Imogen supported her, but tensions arose. Don't let her back in if it'll destroy you, Imogen urged. Margaret, back in Portland, attended counseling at a progressive church that affirmed LGBTQ+ members. She read books on acceptance, grappling with her prejudices. A letter arrived for Emily. I see now that my fear hurt you more than any sin could. I'm sorry. Emily read it aloud to Imogen, torn. Part of me wants to believe her. The decision loomed. Invite Margaret into their lives or protect the peace they'd built. As holidays approached, the family divide felt sharper. Emily's cousins reached out, divided loyalties straining bonds. One crisp autumn day, Emily drove to Portland unannounced. Knocking on Margaret's door, she braced for rejection. Margaret opened it, surprise turning to tears. They talked for hours about lost time, shared memories, and the pain of separation. I chose doctrine over you, Margaret admitted. That was my mistake. Emily shared her journey. The therapy, the activism, the love that sustained her. By evening, a tentative truce formed. I can't erase the past, Emily said. But maybe we can build something new. As she left, hope flickered, but so did caution. The path to healing was fraught with potential pitfalls. Yet, societal pressures persisted. At a family gathering Emily attended warily, an uncle cornered her. Your lifestyle is confusing the kids. Emily stood her ground. Love isn't confusion. Ignorance is. The exchange highlighted the broader fight. Not just personal but against entrenched biases. Back home, Imogen and Emily reflected. We're stronger together, Imogen said. But the drama was far from over. Margaret's reintegration would test them all. Winter brought a fragile peace, but cracks soon appeared. Margaret visited Seattle for the first time since her departure, bearing gifts and apologies. Dinner at Emily and Imogen's apartment started cordially. Small talk about weather and work. But as wine flowed, old grievances surfaced. I joined a support group for parents of LGBTQ+ kids, Margaret shared. Emily nodded, appreciative yet skeptical. That's good, Mom. But actions matter more than words. The evening turned tense when Margaret asked about children. Have you thought about starting a family? Imogen stiffened. We have, through adoption or surrogacy. Margaret's face tightened. But biologically, it's not the same. Emily's fork clattered. Love makes a family, not biology. You of all people should know that after Dad. The reference to her father's death silenced the room. Margaret backpedaled. I didn't mean to offend. But the damage was done. Imogen excused herself, leaving Emily to confront her mother. You still see us as less than, Emily accused. Margaret denied it, but her hesitation spoke volumes. The visit ended awkwardly, with hugs that felt forced. Driving Margaret to the bus station, Emily wrestled with disappointment. I want to believe you've changed, she said. Margaret replied. I'm trying, but old habits die hard. As the bus pulled away, Emily called Imogen. It was a disaster. Imogen sighed. Maybe give her space. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that inviting Margaret back was a mistake, a betrayal of her own hard-won boundaries. Societal backlash intensified. A conservative blog targeted the play, calling it propaganda. Emily received hate mail, accusing her of corrupting family values. At a panel discussion on LGBTQ+ representation in theater, she defended her work. Stories like mine humanize the struggle. Rejection isn't abstract, it's real pain. Applause followed, but so did protests outside. Imogen worried for their safety. This is the price of visibility, she said, holding Emily close. The external threats mirrored internal ones, amplifying the drama. Margaret, influenced by the news, reached out more. Phone calls became regular, filled with tentative questions about their life. "Tell me about Imogen's family," she asked once. Emily shared how Imogen's parents had embraced them, a stark contrast. "They threw us a party after the wedding." Margaret's silence was telling. "I'm glad you have that." Progress was slow, marked by missteps. When Margaret sent a Christmas card addressed to Emily and friend, Imogen laughed bitterly. "Friend? Really?" Emily confronted her. "We're married, Mom. Call her my wife." Margaret apologized, but the slip revealed lingering discomfort. A turning point came during a family crisis. Emily's aunt fell ill, drawing the clan together in Portland. Margaret insisted Emily come with Imogen. At the hospital, tensions simmered. Cousins whispered, uncles avoided eye contact. When a nurse assumed Imogen was a friend, Emily corrected sharply. "My wife." Margaret stepped in. "Yes, my daughter-in-law." The word stunned everyone, including Emily. Later in the waiting room, Margaret explained, "I won't let them disrespect you." It was a small victory but meaningful, a sign of growth amid the chaos. Yet betrayal lurked. Emily discovered Margaret had confided in her priest about praying for Emily's soul. The revelation came via a leaked email from a cousin. Hurt anew, Emily lashed out in a call. "You still think I'm damned?" Margaret wept. "No, I pray for understanding for all of us." The argument escalated, dredging up years of pain. "You left me," Emily shouted. "And now you undermine me behind my back?" Margaret begged forgiveness, but Emily hung up, shattered. Imogen comforted her, but their relationship strained under the weight. "This is tearing you apart," Imogen said. "Maybe cut ties again." Emily agonized over the choice. Pursue reconciliation, risking more hurt, or protect her marriage. The moral gray area deepened. Was persistence a virtue or masochism? As snow blanketed Seattle, Emily journaled her thoughts, turning turmoil into art. A new script emerged, Fractured Forgiveness, exploring the cost of second chances. Spring brought renewal, but not without conflict. Margaret attended therapy with Emily via video, a compromise. Sessions uncovered deep-seated issues. Margaret's own repressed youth in a strict household, her fear of judgment from peers. "I projected my shame onto you," she admitted. Emily shared her abandonment trauma. The therapist noted, "Healing requires accountability." Progress was evident when Margaret marched in her first Pride parade, albeit hesitantly. "For you," she texted Emily a photo. But societal divides persisted. At a community event, Emily spoke on panel about family acceptance. A heckler yelled, "God hates sinners." Security escorted him out, but the words echoed Margaret's past views. Later, Margaret called, "I saw the clip. I'm proud of you." Emily softened. "Thanks, Mom." The moment felt genuine, a bridge mending. Imogen, however, grew wary. "She's changed, but what if it's temporary?" During a date night, they argued. "I need this closure," Emily insisted. Imogen nodded, but doubt lingered. The drama culminated in a surprise. Margaret planned a family dinner, inviting everyone. "To celebrate your marriage," she said. Emily accepted warily, sensing a test. The dinner was a minefield. Relatives arrived, some supportive, others hostile. An uncle toasted sarcastically, "To modern love." Margaret shut him down. "To my daughter's happiness." The act of defense shifted dynamics. Emily felt validated but watched for cracks. As dessert ended, Margaret pulled her aside. "I regret everything. Can we start over?" Tears in her eyes, Emily hugged her. Slowly. It was a step, but the journey ahead promised more trials. Summer heat waves mirrored the rising tensions in Emily's life. With fractured forgiveness in rehearsals, the play drew from her reconciliation attempts, blurring lines between art and reality. Critics previewed it as a bold sequel to Vows Unbroken, heightening scrutiny. Emily poured her soul into the script, depicting a mother's redemption arc fraught with setbacks. Imogen co-starred again, their chemistry electric on stage. Offstage, however, strains showed. "This play is consuming you," Imogen said one night, after Emily skipped dinner for revisions. "It's my way of processing," Emily replied defensively. Margaret's involvement added complexity. She offered to consult on the mother character's motivations, drawing from her experiences. During a video call, she suggested, "Make her fear more palpable. It's not hate, it's terror of losing everything." Emily incorporated it, but Imogen bristled. "She's influencing our story now?" The jealousy was subtle but real, a new layer of drama. Emily reassured her. "It's for authenticity." Yet, inwardly, she questioned if involving Margaret was wise. A betrayal surfaced mid-rehearsal. A cast member leaked script details to a tabloid, twisting the narrative into daughter forces mother's acceptance. Headlines screamed controversy, painting Emily as vengeful. Protests formed outside the theater. Emily confronted the leaker, firing them, but damage was done. Calls flooded, supporters and haters alike. Margaret, seeing the news, drove up unannounced. "This is my fault," she said, arriving at their door. "My past actions fueled this." Emily exploded. "You think? Your abandonment is public fodder now." The argument raged. Imogen mediated, but tempers flared. "You've brought nothing but pain," Imogen accused Margaret. Margaret stood her ground. "I'm here to help fix it." They brainstormed damage control, a joint statement affirming family unity. But trust fractured. Emily felt torn between loyalty to Imogen and her budding bond with Margaret. The moral dilemma peaked. Forgive repeatedly, or draw a line? Therapy helped, but decisions weighed heavy. Opening night loomed, amplified by the scandal. Tickets sold out, drawn by the real-life intrigue. Emily's anxiety spiked. Nightmares of audience boos plagued her. Imogen supported, but their intimacy suffered. "We need a break from all this," Imogen suggested a weekend getaway. They escaped to the coast, walking beaches hand in hand. "Remember why we fought for this," Imogen said, kissing Emily softly. The respite renewed their commitment, but returning to Seattle, reality crashed back. Margaret stayed, helping with promotions. She appeared on a local podcast, sharing her journey. "I was wrong to leave my daughter. Acceptance is a process." The vulnerability won praise, easing backlash. Emily watched, conflicted, grateful yet resentful. "You're getting credit for changing," she told Margaret privately. "While I lived the hell." Margaret nodded. "I know. Use it in the play." The honesty deepened their connection, but Imogen felt sidelined. "It's like she's the star now," she confided in Sarah. The premiere arrived amid heightened security. The house packed, including family and critics. As the curtain rose, Emily embodied the protagonist, her lines laced with personal anguish. "Forgiveness isn't free. It costs pieces of your soul." Margaret watched from the front row, invited this time. The story unfolded. Betrayal, tentative reconciliation, a final test. In the climax, the mother character sacrifices her comfort for her daughter's happiness, attending a symbolic event. Applause thundered at the end, but Emily's eyes locked on Margaret, who stood clapping with tears. Backstage, embraces followed. "You captured it perfectly," Margaret said. Emily replied, "Because it's us." Imogen joined, the trio sharing a moment of unity, but whispers from relatives hinted at lingering dissent. An aunt pulled Margaret aside. "You're enabling sin," Margaret rebuffed her. "Love isn't sin." Post-premiere, life stabilized briefly. Reviews glowed. A masterful exploration of redemption's price. Emily and Imogen basked in success, but the toll showed. During a quiet evening, Imogen voiced concerns. "Your mom's presence is constant. I need us time." Emily agreed, setting boundaries. Margaret respected them, returning to Portland with promises of visits. Yet a final twist emerged. Emily discovered Margaret had donated to anti-LGBTQ+ causes years ago, uncovered by an activist friend. Confrontation ensued via phone. "How can I trust you?" Margaret explained. It was before I've stopped. But the revelation stung, eroding progress. Emily debated cutting ties again. The cycle never ends, she told Imogen. The decision hung, a testament to the ongoing struggle. As fall approached, Emily reflected on the year's upheavals. Activism continued. She spoke at schools, sharing her story to inspire. Imogen proposed expanding their family, a beacon of hope. Margaret volunteered at LGBTQ+ centers, proving change through actions. But doubts persisted. Was true acceptance possible, or merely tolerance? The play toured, spreading its message. In a Q&A, Emily fielded questions on ethics. Is forgiveness obligatory? She pondered. It's a choice with consequences. The audience debated, mirroring her life. Back home, a letter from Margaret arrived. I'm committed to earning your trust. Emily responded cautiously, the dance of reconciliation continuing. The tour's final stop in Portland felt poetic, closing the circle where Margaret lived. Emily invited her to the show, a gesture of fragile trust. The theater buzzed with locals, including Margaret's church friends, some supportive, others wary. On stage, Emily delivered her lines with fervor. We pay for others' mistakes but choose our own paths. Imogen's performance shone, their onstage chemistry a reminder of their bond. From the audience, Margaret absorbed every word, reflecting on her evolution. Post-show, she joined the cast party, mingling awkwardly but earnestly. I'm proud, she told Emily. Imogen observed, noting the sincerity. But a confrontation brewed when a former friend of Margaret's approached. You've betrayed your faith, Margaret countered. Faith is love, not exclusion. The exchange, overheard by Emily, solidified her respect. Yet peace was short-lived. Back in Seattle, Emily faced a health scare. A routine check revealed a lump, benign but stressful. Imogen was her rock, but Emily called Margaret instinctively. I'm scared, she admitted. Margaret drove up immediately, offering support. The crisis bonded them. Hours in waiting rooms fostered honest talks. I missed being your mom, Margaret said. Emily replied, you can be now if you mean it. Recovery brought clarity. Emily and Imogen pursued adoption, navigating bureaucracy. Margaret helped with paperwork, her enthusiasm genuine. But societal hurdles loomed. Agencies with biases, relatives questioning their fitness. An uncle petitioned against it, citing unstable family. Emily fought back legally, exposing the prejudice. This is discrimination, she argued in court. Margaret testified on their behalf. They're loving parents. The win was hard-fought, a triumph over old wounds. As they awaited a match, drama peaked with a family reunion. Hosted by Margaret, it aimed for unity. Tensions exploded when the uncle arrived, spewing vitriol. This isn't natural. Emily stood. Neither is hate. Margaret ejected him, declaring, family supports or leaves. The act severed ties with some but strengthened others. Emily felt liberated, the price of authenticity paid in full. Years condensed into moments. The adoption of a baby girl, Lily, brought joy. Margaret held her granddaughter, tears flowing. She's perfect. Imogen and Emily watched, their family complete yet scarred. Lily's first steps, words, milestones, shared with Margaret, who had become a doting grandma. But shadows lingered. Emily occasionally doubted, therapy a constant. The story's arc culminated in reflection. Emily penned a memoir, detailing the journey from abandonment to acceptance. Launches drew crowds, sparking discussions on ethics. Did I forgive too easily? She pondered in interviews. Readers debated. Some saw weakness, others strength. In quiet evenings, Emily and Imogen discussed the costs. We lost time but gained truth, Imogen said. Margaret visited often, her transformation evident. Yet the narrative wasn't tidy. Relapses occurred, apologies followed. As Lily grew, Emily taught her about love's diversity. One day, watching her play, Emily turned to Margaret. Was it worth the pain? Margaret smiled sadly. For this? Yes. The tale ends not with resolution but introspection. Lives intertwined, forever changed by choices and their repercussions. Was the mother's initial abandonment an unforgivable betrayal, or a flawed response to deep-seated fears that deserved eventual redemption? Word count: 956.